What's up, everyone? Welcome to Million Dollar Seller. I'm really excited for this podcast. I have a great friend here. Her name's Emily Jansen. And before we kick this off, I'm going to ask you to hit that follow button, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on Spotify, iTunes. Any follow really helps me out, and new content every week. And man, I'm really excited for this conversation because I've been an entrepreneur for a while. Emily's also an entrepreneur, and I was connected with her through some common ground around ADHD. And man, I know I have a lot of friends in the entrepreneur space, especially here in Austin, Texas, and Emily's in Austin as well, which is really cool. But there's like an ADHD quality I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have, and it's, that's the word on the street. And also another word on the street is that it's a fucking superpower. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with Emily. And if you have ADHD, you have problems with, focusing and you're overwhelmed, this is the space for you. We got your back. So without further ado, welcome, Emily. How are you?
I'm well. Happy New Year. Thanks for
Happy New Year
today.
Of course, my fellow entrepreneur, my fellow millennial. We're around similar ages.
I know.
Yeah, it's we're just doing the damn thing here in Austin, Texas, and I'm really excited to have you on this podcast. I think we can help a lot of people.
I think so too. I mean, speaking of millennials, I saw a post a couple days ago that was talking about millennials and the return to the Walkman. I don't know if you saw that, but I was like, I wonder if I have my Walkman around, because I would like to just go for a walk and throw my phone into the lake and just have people email me or leave me a voicemail.
The double-edged sword, girl. I was in the gym this morning and people were talking about how they're bringing back flip phones, like phones that you can only text and call on, like
I know.
None of the crazy stuff, but shit, different world we live in today.
Different world.
So I'm really happy you're here, and she's writing a book and she's doing all these really incredible things, and I'm very fascinated with ADHD, and I'm really taking control of, using it for its strengths and then trying to take control of the rest, right? So I'm excited. But Emily, before we dive in to ADHD as being a superpower and asking some questions about it, can you share a little bit about your background and kind of what led you down this path and all the things?
Yeah, well, appreciate you having me. And for anyone that's listening today, I just wanted to let you all know that I'm not a clinically diagnosed psychiatrist. So anything we share today and talk about is coming from, personal experience and anecdotes. And so if you are listening, you think you have ADHD, of course, Samuel and I highly recommend you go see a specialist and somebody that can properly diagnose you. We don't want to live in the world of assuming we know your solution. So we're just here to help support the broader community of neurodiversity. Just a little bit about me. I am 40 years old. I entered my new decade last November. I'm very excited about it. From the East Coast, moved to Austin in COVID, ended up being here for a short time. Thought I was going to stay for a couple months. Ended up staying, now I'm in year 5, 6. So it's been quite the journey. I run my own business. I run a marketing brand and PR consultancy, Emily Jansen Agency. Jacob is not my last name. It means industrious. So that's where the word came from, EJA. I have been running my own business for the last 3 years. For better or for worse, it's been a wild ride, and was formerly in corporate. So I worked in public affairs in DC for Samsung for 5 years. And then I worked for Deloitte during COVID for 2 years, where I helped their US brand team. So full realm of experience. I've also worked for nonprofits. And so I like to say that I know how to ask people for money, and I know how to be in the other boat of receiving money. So
she is on a sales podcast, so we got to ask for the sale, ask for the money, ask for the business, right?
My MySpace, my first MySpace name was Show M the Money.
Oh my gosh. So it's just ingrained in you.
Yeah. Show me the money.
I love it.
I was obsessed with that scene from, Tom Cruise, it was like, show me the money. So
there's this, okay. The millennial conversation's really coming out. episode. I want to ask you before we get into the ADHD stuff, what made you want to go out on your own, start a business, and what was that journey like?
I think to give you the answer to that, I have to just say that I didn't ever anticipate that I would start my business as early as I did in my 30s. So I was like on the corporate train. My dream was to become the head of social impact for whatever big Fortune 100, right? Like I was on that track. Background in corporate social responsibility. I'd worked in Korea for Samsung, a lot of philanthropic work. So cause marketing was my passion, and I lost my job in the early of 2022. Woke up January, New Year, found out that my position had been eliminated as part of a downsizing at Deloitte, and was given a very fair package. But then I quickly began to scramble, and with each passing month, I didn't get a job. I was runner-up multiple times, and I was getting desperate. I filed for unemployment. I had $500 left in my bank account. It was actually a really scary time of my life. Very clarifying, but very scary. So I was forced into entrepreneurship in many ways. During that time, I had a business coach who was giving me free sessions because that's who she is. And she was just really helping me to get clear about what I wanted. And my cousin actually reached out to me, gave me, some part-time consulting work with his company. And I had to file an LLC because I had to be some sort of like formal business entity to do this. So I became an LLC by default. It was kind of, it wasn't even a plan. And then when I finally announced that I had started my own business, I was sort of in shock because all of a sudden I just got all these business opportunities and started to just flow in and happen really naturally. And I mean, there was definitely struggles that first year, but I was launching my first book. I was consulting. I had the opportunity to get on board with a couple different companies that needed some help with fractional marketing work. So it honestly, Sam, it sort of just happened by default. I wasn't planning to become a business owner. But as the months went by, what I realized was it felt really intuitive, and it felt easy in the sense that it wasn't like really hard for me to do it. And that's when I realized, oh, I think I was made for this.
Yeah, I love that. I was kind of forced into it too. I was planning to do it at some point, but my story is very similar, where it just sometimes the universe will shove you in a different direction and you just gotta buckle up. What are some of the things when you got into entrepreneurship, and actually where you're at now, let's let me take a step back, where you're at now, and what you've learned over these few years? What have been some revelations you've had where like, man, I am cut out for this? And the reason I want to share this is because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm sure you do too, especially in terms of she's marketing, I'm sales. So
yeah,
they have this self-doubt. They have this, fear of failure. They have all these perceptions, and all of this is true, right? And
yeah.
You said something that stuck out to me, like year one was challenging. Like it's not easy. Like entrepreneurship's not simple. It's not like someone just sneezes and makes $100,000. Like, you have to like there's some grit you have to have. There's also a different way of living, right? You have to it's very different. You have to hold yourself accountable. You're not going in getting paid what you're getting paid and showing up with a boss telling you exactly what you need to do. You have to figure all that shit out on your own. Now where you're at, you're doing really well. What were some of your revelations? Like what are some of the things, just with all the stuff I just said, like what are some things, tips of advice that you could have, like where you're at now versus where you started, and how kind of like things just progressed, I guess?
Yeah. I think it's a really important question because, no one size fits all. So when I thought about building a business, what I knew to be true for me was that I was highly relational. Okay. So sales is highly relational. When you live in a city like DC and now Austin, I like to say like currency is relationships. And I think that was one thing I knew I had going for me, was that I was, highly connected, highly relational. I was kind of a natural broker of relationships. I always sort of said I should have been a recruiter. So that was one thing I said, to myself, like, okay, I've got this. Like, I have the relationship side of it. Who do I? Yeah.
Have you taken the Clifton Strengths test?
No.
Okay. My number one's relator. Like, I'm a relational person too. So it's really hitting with me. Sorry, go on.
It's really interesting because most people with ADHD would say that they have a high capacity for relationships. Now, those relationships are not all, equal in terms of the depth and the quality, but most people that have the ability to manage and maintain a large network, maybe it's true for some people without ADHD, but I know for me, it was very easy for me to say to my network, hey, I started a business. Do you have any work for me? Because I trusted those people and they trusted me, and I was able to tap into large rooms and feel comfortable and feel able to communicate what I did and what I had done before and what services I could offer. So, most of the time when you're starting a business, what do you need? You need referrals. Even if you have the most perfect marketing funnel and you have your acquisitions set up and your tech stack and your leads and you've got AI and SEO and all of your optimization figured out on the back end, 9 times out of 10, we would all say most people get business because someone recommended them. And so that's where I started was client referrals. Okay, who have I worked for before? Who are my former bosses that could take a stand for me? Who do I have in my network that potentially could use me for work, even if it's fractional? So that's where I started. The second thing I would say is wearing multiple hats. So I love thinking about entrepreneurship as being a generalist. And a lot of times people with ADHD will say, well, I'm a generalist. I'm a jack of all trades. I can pick up a lot of hats. Like if you were put into a room and you were told that, something needed to get done and it had multiple prongs to it, you might not be a specialist in each of those areas, but you can be the orchestra of the conductor of the orchestra. You can kind of figure out, oh, I know how to do QuickBooks and invoicing. I can figure it out. I have a high capacity for communication and relationships. I know how to do business development. I'm a good writer. I can write a contract. I know how to build a work plan, right? Like I'm somewhat semi-organized. So a lot of times with setting up your own business, not only are you highly relational, but you are really good at multitasking because you're able to contain and hold multiple Google tabs open in your brain at the same time. So when I say that I was intuitive in that, what I mean is I didn't feel overwhelmed by it. It felt like second nature to me to wear those hats and to say, okay, I can be my own business development person. I can be my own CFO. I can carry the project management side of the business. I can also be client facing and connect with clients relationally on a Zoom call, in person, in an in-person meeting. And it didn't feel overwhelming to me. So I would say those are like the 2 big things that helped me get started.
As I look at my 15 tabs open on this.
Yeah, well, I've got you beat. I have like 20 right now. So
it's not a competition, but fine, you win. I love that. I think something I want to say with my journey and with her journey and just hearing that is really honing in on your skills and owning that, but also like understanding it's a process. Like, especially where you're at now and where I'm at now in business, it's great, but it's like I'm in year 3, you're in year 3, 4, 3.
Yeah.
Something like, yeah. So it's like, we had to like, I just recorded some material and like, we had to pay the initiation fee. We had to pay the price. So I love what you're saying. And I want to kind of shift to the ADHD section and really connected with Emily over this. Cause I feel, I feel like when we talk about it, it's sticking with me. And just to hit on her point, this is based on our own experiences. I'm also not, a specialist in this category, but I resonate with it. So I want to know, at what point did you personally realize that ADHD, attention, all of this stuff wasn't like a challenge, but it was more something like that's a strength? And how did you leverage that? I think I've talked with so many entrepreneurs, and one of my closest friends. I mean, we talk about this all the time, and which I believe you know her also. When did you realize that it's such a strength, and how like did you navigate through that?
In order to kind of set it on its pedestal as a strength, I just wanted to make note that, and I'm very vulnerable in talking about this. It's not like an area of shame for me, but there was parts of my life that were deeply suffering from from having ADHD. So I'll give you an example. I was diagnosed just about a year ago. So I had really gone in to see a psychiatrist and a psychiatric specialist on this, did all the testing, was diagnosed, and started my medication last spring. And prior to that, I had gone through a period, Samuel, of a few years where I was really struggling with my finances, managing my money, impulse spending. I'd been in 2 car accidents. I had torn my meniscus and then I re-tore it. I had really been struggling in relationships. So patterns of impulsive communication and interrupting, and people experiencing my level of high emotions, and particularly my family, right? Like, you tend to say, well, I'm just an emotional person. But sometimes people with ADHD have such a high degree of deep emotions that it can really affect the way you show up in your work relationships, your ability to listen to clients, your just your overall social life, right? So there was all these areas of my life where I kept thinking, is this connected to ADHD? Like, is this part of the reason why I'm struggling with my finances, right? Like, what is it in me that is causing me to not show up or perform as well as I could in a corporate environment, in an entrepreneurial environment? And feedback loops, right? Like, I had been in an emotional intelligence program over the past couple years, realized through that program, there was a lot of parts of my life that I just really struggled to, listen from an auditory perspective, right? What did we do most of COVID? We sat on Zoom calls. That's what I did. I worked for Deloitte. We were in Zoom calls 12 hours a day, and I was not listening well. So I say all of that to kind of set the stage of, like, in order to understand how it could be a superpower in my life, I had to address the fact that something was not working. So I'll just stop there and let you react to that first.
I resonate with that. And it reminds me of a lot of conversations I had in my previous corporate world. And we always talked about this. And I coached people on this too. A lot of times our strengths are also our weaknesses, right? Like, something that can be a really good thing in our life can also be a downfall of a lot of things. And that doesn't have to be, specific to ADHD. One thing I've talked about this with a friend is like empathy, right? Empathy is such a strong superpower, but also it can fuck you if you are taken advantage by narcissistic people, right? Like, so it's like you have kind of like a double-edged sword here.
Right.
I want to know, like, for you, and to anyone that may be listening that might be struggling with
right.
some of these traits, right? These things, I don't know, I can't spit the word out. Struggling with some of these things, how can they leverage it as a strength? Because when I hear of, like, when we had some of our previous conversations, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really resonating with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, yeah, this helps me a lot in this area of business, And how do you leverage that as your strength? And yeah, I guess the goal of this is, how can people reframe it? Because you always think of these things like, oh my God, I have this, as it's a bad thing.
Right.
That's the goal. I don't want people to think it's bad, because it's not.
Right.
And common. I think it's common more now. Just because of all the distractions and modern living, right? With the cell phones we talked about earlier in this podcast, like distractions, I think it's magnified even more now. But how do you leverage it for good?
Yeah. So what I want to first say is if you are listening and you have ADHD and you have neurodiversity issues or you're aware of them, like, we celebrate you. And thank God we have diversity in the world. Thank God people are not wired the same. I am so glad to know that I am built the way I'm built, because so much more of my life makes sense. So first, we just want to celebrate neurodiversity, because I think it's really important to say, like, we celebrate this and this is a strength. The second thing I would say is when you are, I'm going to speak to the entrepreneurs. Okay. So first of all, if you have had a natural intuition, gut instinct, leaning towards entrepreneurship and running your own business, that is why you probably are leaning towards it. Because if you do have ADHD, you don't want to be put in a box. Okay. You don't want to sit in a corporate work environment where you're told what to do. You sit in the same office 9 to 5 and you're given a swim lane and it's like, here's your swim lane. Okay. People with creative, the superpower of being brilliantly wired, as I like to say, are not fit for a specific job description. So first of all, if you're an entrepreneur, you can leverage ADHD by recognizing that it is a creative superpower. More times than not, what has led me into success in my business is being creative, coming up with creative solutions to how I win new business, thinking creatively about client solutions, right? Like, I think a lot of times when you're a corporate work environment, you are structured into that company's culture. And not in every company. I would say there's a lot of companies I would still love to work for and be all in on, right? But some companies are structured in a way that's like, well, this is just the way it is. And this is how we've done it for 25 years. And that is what makes people so frustrated, is that they can't apply their what if, creative intuition to certain contexts and environments. When you're running your own business, the world is your oyster. It's your business. It's your brand. It's your reputation. It's your money. It's your life. If you have creative ideas, then by all means, leverage them. So I would say creativity is like the first thing. The second thing is people that are neurodiverse and have ADHD usually are not worried or fearful of asking for what they want. Okay. So, raise your hand if you're not afraid to ask for what you want. Like, I am to a fault very direct, and it's part of my family culture and who I am, but I have no problem asking for work. Right? Like, I would love to work for you. Do you have any work in the area of PR, marketing, public? Like, that's a very common trait in people that are a little bit more neurodiverse. They're a little bit more impulsive. They are a little bit more gutsy. They don't necessarily think before they speak. Okay. So there are times when thinking before you speak is not good, right? We all know that. But I've had some incredible clients in my last 3 years of work because I asked. And we all know that in this world, you have to ask for what you want. And if you're not afraid to ask for what you want, great, because the answer is either yes or no, or the answer is not yet. But people who are wired to ask usually will be more successful because, 9 times out of 10, the person on the other side of that conversation doesn't even know what you can do, or they don't know what you offer, or they're not fully aware of what they need. So I would say potentially what I would call is beyond creativity is being gutsy. Like, people that have ADHD, I was the kid in middle school and elementary school, and my mom was like, we don't talk to strangers, right? Like, I walked up to people. I would say hi. I was highly relational. I would say, what's your name? Who are you? And that type of courage and sort of, I would even call it just like, not even resiliency, but just, like a no fear mentality, that really goes a long way. So those are the two things, like creativity and courage. Just being gutsy to ask for what you want. And I would say the last thing, and I'll make this one short, is when you are using ADHD as a superpower, I would say that diversity in your brain and ability to relate to a lot of different types of people, it goes a long way, because not every client is the same, right? Like, I work with individual personal brands. I work with small businesses. I work with nonprofits. I think you want to be careful to classify it as like being a chameleon, because when you say someone's a chameleon, it kind of infers like they're not authentic. But I would say it's like the opposite of that. When you're wired for diversity, you can relate to a lot of different types of people. And by being able to approach people and meet people where they are, they feel more calm and confident in you, because you have, that charisma to be able to handle different personalities.
Yeah, I mean, being a chameleon too, I'm glad you said a lot of things very on par with sales too, which I love. But being a chameleon and like mirror and matching is a sales quality. So it's like you can be authentic, but you have to like sometimes mirror match your prospect, your client, your customer, and then going for it. I love that. Like, I think of all my ADHD type entrepreneur friends, and it's like we're like just go for it. Like, we go for it, but we also like are brutal with each other. Like, my friend will be like, "What are you wearing? Like, that's not it." Like, just like so direct. But I'll just say the power of that too. I'm really glad you're bringing that up. I got a business deal yesterday, and it's because I wanted it. Thank you. And I asked for it.
Yeah.
And the guy that I asked for wasn't the right guy. So he connected me with his business partner who was the right guy. Right. So sometimes when you're asking too, you got to find the right person. But I think these are really good things to chew on. I love it. And it all makes sense. And then the creativity. That's how you bring your creativity to life. You do your creative aspect and then you go ask for what you want. Boom. It like is a great recipe, right?
100%. And, I think most of the time, when you think about entrepreneurship, you think, oh man, like this is going to be really hard. Like, I have to build a tech stack and I have to I don't do that.
Yeah.
I outsource, right? So, yeah. I would also say that, at least I'm wired this way, but people with ADHD tend to be good, delegators and visionaries, because they see the big picture. A lot of times, people that have sort of this big picture mentality, all bets are off, anything is possible. We tend to live in this very idealistic version of reality, right? Like, even, what do they call, when you live in time deficit, you always show up late because you think that you have more time. Okay. So I do that. I've been trying to get better about being on time. But when you live with ADHD, you're like, anything's possible, right? Like, I could totally get this client. And when you live like that, you actually are able to stay on the front lines of your business, be the visionary, be the big what if person, asking why. When I was launching my book, I walked into book people, literally physically walked into book people. And I said, I just wrote a book. It comes out in 2 weeks. I would love for my book to be in this bookshop. What happened? A month later, my book was in that bookshop. So I think, like, again, the story is that when you think of the mentality of anything's possible in sales and business and entrepreneurship, you can start to delegate, right? Like, more in the past year, I've started to delegate other things, my marketing operations, my QuickBooks, my CPA, my accountant. I used to do all of that. Now, as I've learned to be on my ADHD medication and I'm more focused and resilient and I have the ability to like map out my days and my time better, I'm able to dish things off and say, okay, I don't have to manage this anymore. Like, I can give this off to other people, which will then catapult my business into greater success.
I agree. I think too, if you're in the starting point of a business, there's nothing wrong with rolling up your sleeves and doing it yourself. I think part of my suggestion is you should do that so you can learn the ropes of the business, right? And then delegate all you want. I delegate a lot of stuff too. I want to ask this because a lot of people that I work with and in this entrepreneur space, founders, business owners, very scattered, very overwhelmed, lots going on, right? There's a lot of things on our plate. Do you have any strategies of like how you can, get through this? What are some like practical methods of like, how do you reduce the overwhelm? I coach to this a lot because that's the thing, right? People come in, they have all these ideas.
Right.
They're creative, right? But it's like, shit.
Popcorn.
How could you? Yeah, popcorn. Everything, like shiny objects everywhere. I have a new idea. Of course you do. So whole time. How do you manage through that? Or what would be your suggestions? I want some people to like listening to this to get some good takeaways. Like someone's overwhelmed and not focused. What are some good practical methods they could do to gain control of that?
So first of all, I would just say like go get tested for ADHD, right? I'm not on Ritalin. I'm not on Adderall. I'm on a non-stimulant slow release. And so for me, that's really powerful because it's not stimulating me more. I don't need more stimulation. I'm a triathlete. I go running. I, go swimming. I do my yoga. I'm able to control my own, processes in terms of just personal management and health. But go get tested, right? If you feel like you have issues with focus, go get tested. Go see a specialist. Go see what is the best solution for you. The second thing would be, put the big rocks into place. I would say most of the time, I feel way more productive and focused when I take on the less is more approach. Less calls per day, more focus, time blocking, more block times for work, putting on my calendar exactly like, okay, this hour I'm going to actually write the thing that I need to write for my client. So time blocking is a great methodology. And then also I would say, to be honest, like AI, I've been using GPT a lot more in my life, my work. I'm able to focus more, create systems where I can understand like what needs to be accomplished in any given week. I don't feel as scattered. And I know this is really simple, but like eat protein, eat a big breakfast. Like that is, to me, if I can be successful from 6 to 8 a.m., that's what I do. I get my vitamins, I get my protein, I take my medication, I work out, I get ready for the day. I keep my house really clean, and that helps me to just really focus. So I call it ordering your private world, right? Like if you're trying to show up externally and you're scattered, it's probably because your internal world is really scattered too.
I like that. All those things I do as well. The time blocking and eating a lot of protein, less sugar, less wine. Like the thing I need to work on a little bit more is the stimulants, is the caffeine. But that's like, I'm like, that's my one thing,
Okay.
like
have a little coffee, Sam.
A little coffee, then I just chase water with it. So
yeah.
I love, I want to talk about your book. Let's talk about it. Your book called, it's out? What's it called? What gave you the creative, like what made you want to like, obviously I feel like this journey and embracing it, going down it, learning about it has changed your life. So hence the book. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, it hasn't been written, so I'm just now working on it, thinking through it, thinking about what I want it to be. I actually had a call this morning with the publishing house that I want to produce with. And, I think it's a book of how do you walk through ADHD in life, love, and work. So what I want to do is I don't want to give people a prescription and subscribe. Like this is medically, scientifically what you need to do. I want to give people that eye opener to, hey, if you think you have it and you think that your life has been affected by it, here's my anecdotes of like how I discovered that I did have it. So I'm just now starting the process of writing it. It might be called Brilliantly Wired. It might be called Too Much. I haven't walked through all of the naming yet, but I'm just really excited to start working on another book. You can join my Substack. I'm working on putting a lot of that content out on Substack so that I'm starting the writing process in a space where people can access it right now for free.
Well, at the I'll include where to find Emily in the description so you can connect with her if you're interested in her work or connecting on social media. I want to talk about a couple more things before we kind of like wrap up the conversation, but boundaries. I want to talk about boundaries. I feel like a lot of people struggle with boundaries. What are systems or boundaries that matter most for helping people with ADHD, entrepreneurs stay consistent and kind of avoid that burnout? I know a lot of people with ADHD or entrepreneurs in general, people nowadays, just people in general struggle with boundaries. Are there any tips that work for you that helps entrepreneurs instill boundaries so they can stay consistent and also avoid burnout?
Yeah. This is a really sensitive topic because it dovetails into so many parts of your life. And I think I always just want to say to people, if you struggle with boundaries, I feel you. Like I understand how you feel. I understand that it's hard because most of the time, again, people with ADHD tend to have a high empath profile. And so when you're a high empath, right, like you derive so much joy from being generous, from saying yes to people, helping people, showing up for people, right? Like when you think about the love languages, my biggest gift to the world is that I'm a helper, right? I'm very helpful to people. I love showing up for people. Where this, comes out to bite me in a business when you don't have boundaries is you tend to either say yes to everybody, especially when you're first starting your business. I'm going to give a really big example, okay? When I first started my business, I said yes to a client that in a lot of ways was a fantastic client to have. What I did not properly set a boundary on was my pricing. Okay. So I gave, family friend discount and was so eager to get my business going and to take the client and to have the client. I was operating from a mindset of scarcity, not abundance. And so I said, sure, I can do this for you. No problem. We can do a discounted price. Well, when you don't have that boundary in place on valuing yourself at the price you want and implementing that price and holding the line on that price and also holding the line on being professional, right? Like just because people are in your life does not mean you need to give them the family friend discount. That lack of boundary led to a really difficult client relationship. They say that statistics show that when you offer a discounted price, the client inherently will never treat you as well as the client who's paying full price because they don't actually value you as much as you think, right? But where did that all begin? That all began with you not valuing yourself. So what I always say to people as you're starting your business, even if you're eating black beans and rice for like 2 months and wearing the same pair of jeans and, scraping by and maybe you picked up a side job, don't devalue yourself out of the gate by starting off on a lower price or hourly rate, because ultimately where that takes you is constant, you're making constant negotiations and methodologies of setting up your contracts and pricing in a way that just doesn't ultimately help you get where you want to be. So being a high empath person is a beautiful gift to the world. It brings joy to so many people. Most people would say, Emily, you're an amazing friend because you always show up for me and you're always there and you listen and you're able to feel what I'm feeling, right? That's a gift. But in the world of business, that can only go so far because suddenly your clients are taking advantage of you. You're moving into, version 12 of some deliverable that you have for them. And that is not something you have to do, right? If your contract says you get 3 rounds and you're on version 12, who's going to pay the cost of that? You are. Because suddenly you're doing business for free and then you have to pay your designer extra time because now they're, 7 hours deeper into all the work. So I just always say healthy boundaries can be set in love, but always know your expectations up front with your client. Make sure that your contract reflects those expectations. Have a conversation about those expectations before you start the work so that everyone's on the same page. And ultimately, the one last personal boundary I have is I just don't work on Sundays. Okay. This is for me. It's not for everybody. I tend to work Monday to Saturday. Being an entrepreneur, you work a lot, right? The clock is always ticking. The clock's always on. I'm in charge of bringing money in for myself, but I always set aside one day a week, which is Sunday for me, where I love myself. I go to church. I take my dog on a hike. I read my book. I go to yoga. I go out with friends, right? I just don't work on Sundays. And that really serves me because if I'm not rested for my clients, then my ideas for them are terrible, right? If I'm not showing up from a place of strength and good sleep, then my work suffers as a result. So
well said. I think a few things I want to hit on because once again, this is a lot of the work that I do with people in terms of entrepreneurship, sales, business, is you have to have boundaries for yourself.
Yep.
And just like Emily, I don't work Sundays either. I don't take calls Friday. I usually don't take calls Tuesday. Like I have mine very locked because I have other stuff. I need to create podcasts and I need to create content and I need to work on my program and my product and I need to have sales calls. So like there's certain times I'm not available.
Yeah.
And I think something I've learned too, as we've all made the mistakes, right? So I've taken those clients where I've over delivered more than what I needed to. I've overextended myself. So I resonate with what Emily says. And I think that's part of the entrepreneurship initiation fee. You're going to go through it. It's going to suck, but you learn from it, right? But ever since then, it's like my prices have gone up a lot. I mean, since when I launched my product, it's almost triple, like it's to quadruple what I started with.
Right.
And what I'm getting better clients, they show up better, I show up better, we both have boundaries, they get their shit done, and we build, right? And I want you to hear this because a lot of people that come into my world or into this space, they're like, they have a fear of charging too much. I would have a fear of charging too little.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have a fear of that. Like, and not everyone's for everyone. So it's also okay to turn down work. Now, I get it though, when you're building, you get a little scrappy, right? I mean, there's a time where like, I'm not going to turn this down because I could use money, especially as you're building and you're also might be hiring a team and free, like outsourcing, as Emily said, that costs money too. So it's the game, but boundaries are so important. And if I don't have a boundary with the things like this morning, like I bought the brick, so it locks my phone up from the apps and stuff. And I just got it and I love it. I feel so unavailable and I'm obsessed. So I was like bricked out of my phone for like almost 12 hours from 7:30 p.m. last night to like 9 a.m. this morning.
Yep.
And what I got on my phone, you know what? I didn't miss shit. I didn't miss anything in those 13 hours. But do you know what happened? I got really good sleep. I had an amazing workout. I saunaed, cold plunged, had a great protein-filled breakfast, was able to get stuff on my tasks done before. So it's like I felt like I'm ahead for the day because I got things on that I would normally wait till the end of the day when I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
That's what boundaries look like. And I'm sorry, they're necessary. Not everyone gets access all the time.
Yeah. And look, boundaries could look really different for somebody. I think one thing that's really important to share here is I'm an early bird. So I get fantastic work done between 7 and 9 a.m. Okay. One thing I don't do is I do not email my clients, text my clients, Slack message my subcontractors. I don't communicate outside the boundaries of reasonable hours of work, right? But my productivity hours are in the early morning. So basically from really 4 o'clock onward, I don't work because from like 4 to 7, 4 to 6, it's my dog park time. It's my cooking time. I run errands. I go do a workout if I'm doing a workout. My point is, if you're listening to this and you're running your own business, if you're a night owl, great. We're so glad you're working late at night. That's fine. Go do it. That is, I think they call it, I forget who it is that implemented this. Maybe it was Facebook or somebody over at Apple or something, but they talked about productivity hours, and certain corporate offices were set up in 2017, 2018 to be based on when you were most productive. So that's a boundary that you could set for yourself. Look, I know that I'm going to do my best work from like 8 to 11 a.m., 8 to 12 p.m. And then if you know yourself and you know that you're not going to do great work for a client from 3 to 5, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't schedule calls then. That's a boundary you have to set with yourself. And I would say, one other boundary I've put in place in my life is I have specifically challenged myself to not hound people. Okay. The time it takes for someone to thoughtfully think about how they want to respond, get back to you on the contract, get back to you on the proposal, don't hound people. They'll get back to you when they want to get back to you. I had a beautiful scenario a couple weeks ago where I was so tempted to reach out to this prospect, right? Like we had sent them the proposal. I knew that they were going to get back to us. I was so eager to hear if their answer was yes or no. And I came so close to texting them. And I said to myself, no, Do not text them, because that will pressure them. So that boundary I've also put in my life is, if it comes, let it. If it goes, let it. If people want to work with you, they will get back to you. And if you send them that energy of like grasping and I'm desperate and I really want to work with you, they're going to run. They don't want to work with somebody that's like, please, please, please work with me. It's a beautiful lesson of, supply and demand and urgency, right? Like, why does sales work when it says, for a limited time only, this is 75% off? Because there's urgency. But if you create that sort of vibes and energy and environment with somebody of like, I need to know right now if you're in or you're out, that's a boundary that you have to set with yourself, because you have to believe that the right clients will find you, the right people are going to find you, the right work and money is going to flow to you, and the right people are ultimately going to say yes to you. So that's just another boundary I have with myself. And the lesson learned is like, literally within 2 hours, instead of me texting that person, guess what? They texted me back and they said, yes, I'd love to work with you. So that's where I think it's just really important as an entrepreneur to remember that like not everyone is out on the hunt and the chase like you are. If they work for a big corporate company, they're going to move a whole lot slower than you are, right? Because we like to get things done quick, get the foot in the door, like, are you in or you out? But a lot of times our clients are not going to work like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think for me, I think it just depends on who your client is.
Right.
Hey, like, read the room. Read the room. I also believe a follow-up starts at the first conversation. So if I'm talking with Emily and we're working on a contract together, I'd be like, okay, Emily, what are the next steps for us? Like, when can we get this locked in? And she tells me a week, we do a week, right? Like, I think it's partially reading the room, partially setting your expectations, and partially like knowing your customer and who you're working with. So I want to wrap this up. This has been a really good conversation, but I want to ask you this as kind of a final little question.
Yeah.
If there's one belief about ADHD that you wish entrepreneurs would let go of, and one belief you'd wish they adopt instead, what would that be?
I think it really is as simple as the belief that you don't have to live in shame that you're too much. And I think, a lot of times shame has two faces. I'm not enough, or I'm too much. And I've never struggled with I'm not enough. I mean, I'm a lot. Like, I have a lot to offer the world. I don't struggle internally with, oh my gosh, am I enough for love? Am I enough for this person? Am I enough for this client? I don't think like that. My temptation is, my personality is too big. I have too many feelings. I have too many ideas. I have too many words. It's just, but when you really believe that you are brilliantly wired, that you are wired for co-creation in this world, that you create and that you bring inherent value with what you create in this world, then you should fully rest assured that you're exactly who you're supposed to be. And I think, yes, there's opportunities for medicine. There's opportunities for self-control, learning how to regulate yourself, learning how to read the room, like you said. But there's too many people in this world that are kind of, sort of vanilla, straight-laced, buttoned up in a work stream like this, right? Like, that's why the eye is the eye and the hand is the hand and the ear is the ear. We're all different. So don't walk in shame or quietness about who you are if you have neurodiversity. It's a gift. And that's the takeaway, is it's a gift, but you have to learn how to harness it and channel it. So, that's why we're here today. And, I think it's just such a beautiful gift to have knowledge and awareness of what's going on in your brain so that you can show up in the best way possible for other people.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really good final words. I agree. It is a gift. And, we're in this together too. I think there's power in community, power in, like, if you hear this, you're like, I want you to know that you're not alone, right? Like, we're I go to this place and I do sound baths and meditation. And I love it. And there's this girl there. I call her mom because she's like so motherly and nurturing. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, today we're just all walking each other home. And I'm like, that's so beautiful. So I think just to build off that is like, we have a community and we're in this together, and you're not too much. You're perfect. You're perfect. So
Practically perfect in every way, as Mary
there's-
Poppins would say. I think, yeah, just be yourself and get the help you need and walk in vulnerability. I mean, I've had to have a lot of feedback loops with people. Hey, how have I been showing up? Can I show up differently? Can I show up better? We
yeah,
all get to grow, and it's okay to be you.
yeah.
So.
It's more than okay to be you. That's how it should be. So,
Yeah.
Emily, where can people find you if they want to connect with you? Where's
Oh
the
my
best way?
gosh. Down on Town Lake. No, I'm just joking. So Emily J. Jansen Instagram handle, and my new website, which I'm very excited about, finally redid it, emilyjacobagency.com, emilyjacobagency.com. You can email me, Instagram, find me on LinkedIn, and would love to connect. And, Samuel and I are here to help you. So, let's do this.
Well, thank you so much for being here and taking the time and helping me educate people through this platform. So it's really exciting. You guys, thanks for tuning in and keep coming back for more. Once again, hit that follow button. And if you want to connect with Emily, give her a shout out. She does a lot of amazing work in marketing, and she's going to be having a book coming out at some point about ADHD, and it's exciting stuff. So remember, I just want to end with this, is that if you're listening to this, we're meant to create. So get out there and create something you fucking are excited about. And you got a supportive community through me, through Emily, and all the other creators. So baby, let's get to work.